What's up, Blueshirts faithful? Jim Cerny here, hanging out with you. It's Rink Wrap from Forever Blueshirts. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing over at our YouTube page at Forever Blueshirts. And of course, for those of you that tune in on audio, thank you as well for your following and subscribing and liking and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, thanks for being a part of this. And for those of you that follow on social media as well, at Jim Cerny or at the number four, Forever Blueshirts. Thanks for, your commentary. I try and get your quotes and comments and anger and angst and everything else from this season. Try and include it on our show as well each week. And here we are. How you doing, Blueshirts faithful? How'd you handle the roller coaster Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden? Right? There are lots of highs. There were lots of lows. Man, you got the whole wide experience from the New York Rangers on Wednesday night at the Garden. But in the end, you got 2 points. And that's all that matters, right? 7 games left on the schedule. You got the 2 points. And thank goodness for the Minnesota Wild, right? It's the only team the Rangers can beat in overtime this year. They're 3-7 in 10 games that were decided in the 5-minute overtime. 2 of those 3 have come against the Minnesota Wild. 2 of the 3 wins have come against the Minnesota Wild in the past 3 weeks. The other one, March 15th at XL Energy Center, Braden Schneider's awesome game-winning goal. Rangers did it again last night. This time it was Artemi Panarin that made it all happen. Listen, good on Vinny Trocheck to cut down the middle, get his stick on the ice. But basically, he just deflects home. Just an absolutely gorgeous feed from Artemi Panarin. Great look, great move, great look, great pass by Artemi Panarin. Great skill on that play. Not such a great read by Philip Gustafsson, but you know what? That's all to the Rangers' benefit. And the Rangers came out of there with the 5-4 OT win. They get the 2 points. Tied with the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal still with the game in hand. Columbus Blue Jackets 2 points back of those two with 2 games in hand on the Rangers, 1 game in hand on Montreal. So there you go. That sets you up. That could change. That could change by time we post this today. It won't. We'll post it before tonight's action. But before, the podcast posts, things change that quickly in the Eastern Conference playoff race. Thursday night, both Montreal and Columbus are in action. Rangers don't play again until Saturday. It's a light week for the Rangers. Only 2 games this week. They're back at it Saturday in New Jersey, Prudential Center, against a very, very vulnerable New Jersey Devils team. That's 2 points the Rangers can get and should get. And then you flip to next week. You got the Flyers, you got the Islanders, more points that you should get. Now, that doesn't always mean anything or equate to anything for the New York Rangers this season. But the bottom line is they're there. Those are points they really, really should get. Now, Tampa Bay Lightning earlier in the week, I think that's Monday at the Garden. Maybe a different story. Certainly a tougher 2 points to be had there. Devils, that's a winnable game. Islanders, Flyers, those are winnable games. Those are games you have to win down the stretch of a season when you're fighting for a playoff spot. In any case, we've dissected, really all the way the whole season, but down the stretch about, the Rangers and their compete level and, they're not doing enough to secure a spot in the playoffs. And neither are the teams that they're actually battling with. But you know what I loved about the game Wednesday night out of them? The compete was there. That actually looked like a team that wanted to play in the playoffs, that wants to earn a playoff berth for the 4th consecutive season. That's the way the Rangers looked to me last night. They came out hard. They came out fast. Now, listen, they hadn't played in 3 days? They had 3 complete days off. So this was the 4th day since the 6-1 win in San Jose. But okay. Now, we've seen them have days off before, and it doesn't do any good. Compete level is in the toilet. Not last night, not Wednesday night. Thought the Rangers came out. I thought they played hard. They didn't always play well, They did a lot of good things. I mean, they took that game to the Minnesota Wild, especially that first period. What was it, 18-7 shots on goal? Unfortunately, Minnesota scored on two of their first four shots. Unfortunately, the Rangers throughout the evening decided to gift wrap opportunities and goals for the Minnesota Wild. But guess what? It's a give and take because Minnesota gift wrapped some for the Rangers as well. It was a weird game. I thought we were going to look at like a 2-1, 3-1 type game. Dummy it down. Rangers play tight defensively, would capitalize. And at the end of the day, I figured, you know what? With Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek still out of the Minnesota lineup, the Rangers have more firepower, but Minnesota's going to want to dummy it down. They don't want to take chances. Rangers will play that style as well. And it'll be kind of a yawner, but the Rangers have, more goal scoring than Minnesota does. Rangers going to win this one 3-1. That's what I thought going in. And then, we end up, 5-4 in overtime instead. And part of that is just egregious giveaways by both teams, but both teams capitalized. It was give and take. Like I said, it was a weird game, but the one thing you couldn't fault the Rangers on, and you can fault Vincent Trocheck on that terrible clear on the first goal of the game when Minnesota was on the power play. And, he chips it softly off the wall, gets picked off at the point, and bing, bang, boom. 2 seconds later, it's in the back of the Ranger net. We'll get into Keandre Miller and his escapades last night too. We can keep picking them apart. But at the end of the day, the one thing the Rangers did really well was they competed. That looked like a team that wanted to win, that was going to do what it took to win. They were resilient. They didn't hang their heads after some of the terrible gaffes they made in the game. They didn't hang their heads, after coming out, dominating the action in the first 8-9 minutes of the game, but yet surrendering the first goal. They stuck with it. They competed. They played hard. They didn't always play smart. They didn't always play well, but they played hard. And I mean, listen, they should be. I don't know why we're patting them on the back for doing so, but you know what? For so much of this season, we've spent time here talking about how they just don't compete hard enough, right? Or they don't compete for 60 minutes. Last night, they competed for 61 minutes or just under 61 minutes, winning that game in overtime. And so, even if they had lost, somehow Minnesota scored in overtime or shootout or whatever, you couldn't complain about the Rangers' compete level. Here's the other thing that I like from last night. Love the youth. Love the youth. And I love what Gabe Perreault coming into the lineup did to the lineup, to the four lines. It really spread things out nicely. And I think a key decision made here by Peter Laviolette was to keep Johnny Brodzinski in the top 9. Guy's been playing really well, right? He's become a threat offensively, up to 10 goals now, has scored some big goals for this team. So keep him in the top 9. He got knocked out of the top 6. Gabe Perreault took his spot with JT Miller and Alexis Lafreniere. So Brodzinski, I thought, this is the way they practiced on Tuesday too, figured that Brodzinski would end up on the fourth line, right? With Sam Carrick and Brett Berard. Instead, Chris Kreider goes down to the fourth line. Johnny Brodzinski, who deserved to be in the top 9, he's there on the third line. Like it. I really liked how they spread out the wealth on the lines. And hey, to Chris Kreider's credit, we talked about compete before. There was no sulking out of him, right? What does he do? He capitalizes on the one opportunity he had. Scores a big goal. Terrible giveaway by Chisholm, right in front of his own net. I don't know what he's doing. Not under duress. Rangers weren't on him. Chisholm just coughs the puck up in front of his own net and actually bounces it off his own goaltender's pads. And listen, Chris Kreider's Chris Kreider. Say what you will about him, even at age 33 and a down season and everything. The guy knows how to score goals. And he knows how to sniff out an opportunity. Chisholm coughs it up. Puck is loose in the blue paint. Who swoops in? Chris Kreider scores a fourth line goal. Huge, right? But I really like the spreading out of the wealth there. I thought Brodzinski deserved to be on the third line. I was good with Kreider on the fourth line. Kreider doesn't sulk, sees an opportunity, scores a big goal. And how about Gabe Perreault with his NHL debut? I liked it. Listen, there are going to be ups and downs, probably more so with his defensive game than his offensive game. But listen, he's going to get out muscled too. He's a 19-year-old. He's still a kid. That's not his man's body just yet. But he competed well yesterday. We saw him below the goal line, below the hash marks. We saw him get involved, try and win puck battles. We saw the creative side, saw some good looks. That one pass that, I know kind of lit up social media, blowing up Alexis Lafreniere, where, that he wasn't ready for the pass from Gabe Perreault. Listen, it was a good look, but it ticked off a Minnesota stick. So let's not be roasting Alexis Lafreniere here for that. He tried to pivot, puck ended up, misfiring with him because it went off a stick. Lafreniere lost his edge. He went down. But it was a good look. Good idea by Perreault. He probably could have shot that puck. He had a clear lane, clear look at the net. But so did Lafreniere. He was pretty wide open there on right wing. So you see the kid thinking and creating right away in his NHL debut. Liked what we saw out of him. And you know what I liked from the coach? Here's what I like from the coach. And everybody's blowing up Twitter saying, oh, yeah, Gabe Perreault is going to start, on, this top line with JT Miller and Alexis Lafreniere, and he's going to play 4 minutes and get replaced by, Chris Kreider is going to move up, or whatever the examples were. In other words, Perreault was going to end up, maybe on the fourth line or whatever. Peter Laviolette didn't do that. He kept the kid there. Kid played just under 14 minutes of ice time, including 3 minutes on the power play. That second power play unit ended up getting some extra time. And listen, Gabe Perreault, he didn't look like he was overmatched out there. Right? I know he's 19 years old. He played 2 years in college and certainly, starred on the international stage, helped the United States win, a couple World Juniors in a row. It's a different thing when you get to the NHL. And he did not look out of place. Got those jitters out or whatever they were. He pumped a few shots on net. Hey, and there, in the final seconds of regulation, in a tie game, a game the Rangers cannot lose in regulation, the coach, he had Gabe Perreault, 19-year-old Gabe Perreault, out on the ice. Out on the ice. And who gets the last shot on goal? The last scoring opportunity for the Rangers in regulation before that game goes to overtime? Gabe Perreault. He's in the right circle. Puck comes to him. Doesn't hesitate. Fires a shot on net. Gustafsson had the angle cut off. Gustafsson made the save. Should have made the save. But the bottom line is the kid was out there. The kid got the puck. Kid didn't think. Kid knew that the clock is winding down, and he got the puck on net. He also had a pretty good scoring opportunity at the end of one power play. I liked what I saw out of Gabe Perreault. It's one game. I know. Let's not go crazy. But I like what I see out of the kid. And I like the fact that he was given his opportunity. He was playing with the right guys, especially JT Miller. Like JT Miller needs to be his center. Open up some ice for the kid. Miller's got that combination of skill and grit. So you don't want Perreault too much involved in that gritty game. You want to open up the ice for him. It's like Panarin. Listen, I'm not calling Perreault Panarin, okay? So don't go crazy on me on social media. But taking a more finesse player and giving somebody that's bigger, stronger, that will open up the ice for them. That's also skilled, and that's what JT Miller is, right? By the way, shout out to JT, 700th NHL point yesterday, picked up an assist. But with Perreault, he's put in the right situation. He's out there on the power play. It was the right thing to do. Put him in a situation to succeed. I get it. unless he proves that he can't handle this responsibility, you put him in those situations because that's where he's going to best succeed. And again, he didn't look out of place. There are going to be times, and probably even in the final 7 regular season games here, where we're going to say, yep, kid looks a little overmatched. Where was he on the back check? Yeah, boy, he got out-muscled there. It's going to happen. It's okay, right? He's 19. This kid looks like the real deal. One game. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Excuse me. Fighting a cold here. Here's what else I liked. It was a night of the youth for the Rangers. Talked about Perreault. How about Brennan Othmann? Sitting on, the doorstep, gets a feed, jams it on net, slam dunk opportunity. All right, Gustafsson made the save. But Othmann was in the right place. He's always seems to be in the right place. He goes to the dirty areas. He goes to the areas where you score goals. And there he was on the doorstep, wide open. Defenseman lost him, comes to him. And again, he just slams it on net. Gustafsson made the save. Hats off to him. That first goal is coming for Brennan Othmann. He was really good in San Jose. I thought he was real noticeable again last night. Good combination of physical play, skill, will, all of it. Listen, for him to stay a top 6 player, right? If that's what he's going to be for the Rangers down the road, and which he is right now down the stretch of this season, playing a top 6 role, he's going to have to put the puck in the back of the net. But I like that Laviolette's sticking with him here. He's doing enough things to keep that opportunity playing with Trocheck and Panarin. He's been responsible defensively. He's been good physical presence, really good physical presence. He's a banger. Comes with an edge. You saw the little scrum after that scoring opportunity. He and Matt Boldy getting together. Love it. Love it. Now just put the puck in the back of the net. It's going to come. I feel it. I think he feels it. He's probably a little frustrated, but it's coming. Guy scored 50 goals in junior one year, 50 goals in 60 odd games 1 year in junior. Last season as a rookie pro in Hartford, he had 21 goals. He's going to score. The question in the bigger picture is, and I think this is the difference between him and Perreault, because they get lumped in a lot together. Because they've been the top 2 Ranger prospects for a while. They're different players. So Perreault to me is, he's going to be a top 6 guy. Question with Othmann is he a middle 6 guy? So is he on your second line? Is he on your third line? Ultimately, when he's at his best, when he's, he is a regular in the NHL now, but moving ahead, looking ahead down the road. On a Stanley Cup contender, will Brennan Othmann grow into being a top 6 guy, or is he going to be a middle 6er? Same thing can be said of Will Cooley. They're different skill sets there, but they both were scorers in junior. Certainly Will Cooley's had himself a nice season. But are they on a Stanley Cup contender? Are these guys, third line players? Not that that's a bad thing at all, but are they third line players as opposed to top 6 players? And I think we're just in the process, scratching the surface with Brennan Othmann finding that out. We know a little bit more about Will Cooley, who, again, speaking about the youth from last night, speaking about things that I really liked from last night, Will Cooley, got to mention him. He's still only 23. I know this is now 2 full NHL seasons under his belt. Mature kid, brings it every night, brought it again last night, even on the nights, and he's going through a stretch here, even on these nights that he doesn't wind up on the score sheet, he imposes his will in the game. He's a heavy hitter. We all know that. He gets in on the forecheck, goes to the dirty areas, just like Brennan Othmann. And last night, you know what his big contribution was last night? Had 2 key block shots. Whatever it takes. and really happy that he got voted as the 2025 Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award winner. To me, there was no question. You read my story earlier yesterday. We got the staff together, the Forever Blue Shirt staff, posted a story on who should win the Stephen McDonald Award this season. And it was pretty much a slam dunk. One of our guys, Dane Walsh, he actually went off the grid, voted for Artemi Panarin, made a case for Breadman. Okay. The rest of us saw it as Will Cooley. It was pretty much almost a clean sweep. And you saw, my opinion on it. So I won't go on and on about that here. He was the deserving winner. And I was really happy to see him get awarded that last night. But that set the tone, right, for this night of youth with the Rangers. Will Cooley wins the Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award. Gabe Perreault makes his NHL debut, does a heck of a good job. After the game, Peter Laviolette commended him, talked about his hands and his head. Hands and head. And that's what Gabe Perreault is. The skill, but he's also a cerebral guy. He's acclaimed at age 19 for his hockey IQ. And that's what's going to carry him forward in the NHL, along with a really, really good skill set. And Brennan Othmann almost got his first NHL goal, but still did a lot of good things physically in that game for the Rangers. And how about Braden Schneider? Guess what? He's still a kid too. He's got more experience than everybody else I just mentioned at the NHL level that we've been talking about. How about Braden Schneider and his emerging offensive game? How about that quick release on the rebound? Long rebound comes out to him into the left circle. I mean, he wasted no time in burying that rebound to tie the game at 1 in the first period. He's been doing a lot of good things offensively. And you've heard from the coaches, you've heard Peter Laviolette talk about this before. It's there. It's there in Braden Schneider, the offensive side of the game. But he's played third pair minutes. He kills penalties. He's not a power play guy. So the offensive flow of the game for him has come along at a slower pace. But the coaches, the hockey people, the people you speak with, they see it in Braden Schneider. And now everybody else is starting to see it because he has really stepped up his offensive game in the second half of this season. Seems a lot more confident, jumping in, when to jump into a play, when to lay back, when to jump in, get involved. How about that overtime goal I touched on earlier against Minnesota back on March 15th? And he's putting the puck in the back of the net. He's creating opportunities. He's not hesitating on his opportunities offensively. There's a whole new side emerging here from Braden Schneider. And he's just a kid too. To me, Wednesday night was about the youth of the Rangers, along with the compete, the resiliency, Vincent Trocheck picking himself up off the ice after bad giveaway on the first Minnesota goal, the giveaway getting stripped of the puck at center ice by Minnesota on what ended up being a shorthanded goal that tied the game at 3 there in the second period, excuse me. Picked himself up, dusted himself off, got to the net, scored the overtime winner. Good on him. Resiliency. That's how you not only get into the playoffs, that's how you succeed in the playoffs too, where it's part of the equation. Big part of the equation. Something we haven't seen a lot out of the Rangers this season. So, talking about younger players, talking about resiliency, quickly want to touch on Keandre Miller. We got the whole Keandre Miller experience Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden. The highest of highs, the lowest of lows. That is the Keandre Miller experience. It isn't game to game. It's shift to shift with this guy. Now, again, credit him. Similar to Trocheck, he showed to be pretty resilient last night. He must be a super confident kid because it doesn't crush him. He made a couple glaring mistakes that ended up in the back of the Rangers' net. But yet, flip side, scores himself a big goal that ties the game early in the second period, tied it at 2 at the time. This is a pretty good snipe from the bottom of the left circle. Now, do I think Gustafsson should have made the save? Absolutely. But listen, get the puck on net, wire it like he did. You went up high, bar down, just under the bar. He snuck it by Gustafsson. Good on him. Good on K'Andre Miller. And then there he is, right in the middle of things, the thick of things in overtime. Starts overtime. Puck comes back to him after JT Miller won the faceoff. Miller gets the puck quickly to Artemi Panarin. Panarin weaves his magic. Trocheck goes to the net. It's in the back of the net. Overtime winning goal. K'Andre Miller gets an assist, 2-point night, right? So there's the highest of the highs. He's involved in the game-winning goal. Scores a big goal earlier in the game. And the lowest of the lows. Killing a penalty in his own end of the ice. Stick breaks. He heads to the bench. He leaves the zone before the puck is cleared out of the zone. He gets trapped. 5-on-3 really becomes a 2-on-0 down low after Trocheck gives the puck up. Zuccarello passes it down low. Bing, bang, boom, as I said before. Puck's in the back of the net. Rangers are down 1-0. What are you thinking, K'Andre Miller? What are you thinking, Vinny Trocheck, too, on that terrible clear? But what are you thinking, K'Andre Miller? And then the blind backhand pass right onto the stick of Marco Rossi early in the third period, less than a minute in to the third period, leads to the tying goal that makes it 4-4. I mean, he does this stuff all the time. All the time. And you want to slam your head against the wall and say, they can't sign this guy. They can't give him a long-term contract at the end of the season. And then you see some of the positive things that he does. And you see, how he stands up guys, comes away with the puck, in his own end, penalty kill, even strength. And you say, it's there in him. And he scores a goal and he helps set up the game winner in overtime. I tell you, the coach trusts him. 22 more minutes last night. He makes some of the most egregious mistakes. K'Andre Miller. Like when they're bad. His mistakes. Really bad. But he comes through too. Drives you crazy. He might be now the most polarizing guy on the team. And again, it goes by minute. I've had debates with people on social media and stuff about K'Andre Miller. And sometimes I'll get the same person, 1 week or 1 day, whatever, killing him. So, you can't sign this guy. Trade him in the offseason. Now let's get somebody else in here. Let's move Braden Schneider to the left, whatever. And then the same person will come back at me praising him. Did you see? Wow, did you see Key? Difference maker in the game. Polarizing is the word for him. 25 years old. We still don't know what we got in this guy. But the coach likes him. He runs him out there. After these egregious mistakes, he keeps sending him out there, keeps showing confidence in him, which is probably good coaching, right? Because the kid responded. He's not a kid anymore. But K'Andre Miller responded in a positive way. You got the whole experience from K'Andre Miller Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden. A couple other things I just want to touch on. Gets away from the game, a little away from the team just a little bit, but just thoughts in my head before we wrap up this week's edition of Rink Wrap. And again, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to follow me at Jim Cerny. Follow us at Forever Blue Shirts. Of course, head to foreverblueshirts.com for all the latest on the New York Rangers. Today, we got a bunch of Gabe Perreault stuff. Got a column about the young players. Winners, losers from last night's game. The stuff, the good stuff that we deliver for you. It's all there at Forever Blue Shirts right now. So please head on over there. A couple things I want to get to, though, before we wrap it up this week. Mention Will Cooley winning the Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award. I was there, believe it or not. Yeah, I'm that old. I was a really young reporter. I was just out of college. My first year covering the Rangers, 1987-88. That was the first year of the Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award. And Jan Eriksson was the winner. For those of you that remember Yanni Eriksson, one of the best, I mean, I'm serious, one of the best defensive forwards, one of the best checking guys that I've seen in my time covering the NHL. Anyway, Yanni won the Extra Effort Award that year, 1987-88. It's the first year the award was given out. It was such a powerful experience. At that point, Officer McDonald was a year and a half, I think it was under 2 years out from having been shot and paralyzed in New York at Central Park. And such a passionate Ranger fan. And he came out and, of course, tube in his neck, and it's difficult for him to speak. And he gave such a powerful speech. He was there with his wife, Patty Ann, their young son, Connor. Patty Ann was pregnant with Connor when police officer McDonald was shot and paralyzed. So Connor McDonald never knew his father anything but this man living in a wheelchair. The same man that forgave the shooter, the person who shot him, says so much about the man. Over the years, I very on the periphery got to meet and have some conversations with the McDonald family when I worked for the Rangers years later. It was always a special night, and it's a real special night for the organization, that award, when it's given out. And police officer McDonald has passed on. He passed away in 2017. His son Connor and his wife Patty Ann, they continue the legacy of Stephen McDonald, their passion for the Rangers organization and for the Extra Effort Award. And it's carried through some of the greats over the years with the Rangers. Adam Graves, who's won the award more than anybody else. On through the list. We could go through the whole list. Ryan Callahan, repeat winners, like him. Ryan Lindgren, who won it a couple years ago, Vinny Trocheck last year, and now Will Cooley is part of that really cool, no pun intended, family, because it is a family if you win that award. And you're part of the McDonald family as well. So just sharing a couple thoughts about that. One of the guys that's a multiple time winner of the award was in the building last night wearing the uniform of the Minnesota Wild, and that's Matt Zuccarello. And I just wanted to touch on this. And if there's so many examples of why Zook is such a good guy and will forever be beloved by the Ranger faithful, by everyone he touched within the organization, teammates, coaches, training staff, and most definitely the fans at the Garden. What does he do? He comes out for warmups last night. This is going to be his final appearance in the Garden this season, barring the Rangers and Wild meeting in the Stanley Cup final, of course. But his final appearance, probably in the Garden this season, knowing it's Sam Rosen's final season, final of 40, as the voice of the New York Rangers. What does Zook do? Gets rid of the number 36 Zuccarello jersey for warmups. He wears a specially made number 40 jersey, Wild jersey, with the name Rosen on the back. Number 40 for the number of years that Sam's worked on Ranger broadcast. 40 Rosen, skating on the ice for warmups as a tribute to Sam. Small gesture, small thing, right? Most people wouldn't think of doing that. Zook thought of it. That is Matt Zuccarello. That's who he is. That's the guy that I got to know over all my years working for the New York Rangers and covering them and, getting to know the guys so well. And, how beloved this guy is. I could give you chapter and verse on how popular he was with his teammates, and probably still is, with his former teammates and ex-teammates and guys that are retired and everything. I'm sure they all stay in touch these days. But there was that one season that Zook began the season in Europe. Remember, there was a kind of a contract snafu, and Rangers didn't get him signed, so he went back to Europe to play. He hadn't established himself yet as a regular with the Rangers or as a star with the Rangers, which he ended up to be. So this has to be back, 2013 maybe, 14? I'm stretching my memory here, trying to remember when it was, which season. But in any case, Zook signed his contract, came back over from Europe, and the Rangers, our contingent, our traveling party, was heading up to Ottawa for a game against the Senators. And Zook was waiting for us, not for me, I just happened to be part of the team walking in, but waiting for his teammates in the lobby, sitting there. And he popped up when he saw the bus pull up to the hotel. And guys flew off that bus. I mean, they charged off the bus, grabbed their bags, went into the hotel lobby, and it was just a love fest. These guys hugging Zook, and, I'm not doing it justice how happy his teammates were to see him. And this was a guy still looking to find his footing, still, trying to become a regular contributor in the NHL. But the guys loved him already. And there he was, the hugs and everyone wanting a piece of him, and, then setting up dinner arrangements, all going out to dinner together. And in any case, it's just one of those little behind the scenes things to share, that this guy was the real deal, connected with the fans, connected with his teammates, connected with everybody within that organization. And I know he's a Minnesota Wild now and has had, pretty much his best seasons of his career with the Minnesota Wild. He will always be a New York Ranger, and he proved that last night. He will forever be a New York Ranger. Little thing that he did there in honor to honor Sam Rosen, and that goes a long way with me. And I know the fans noticed it too, and it was all over social media. That's not why Zook did it, to get all over social media. He did that for one person, and that was Sam Rosen. And that's why it was a special thing. So with that, I'll leave you to it. This week's edition of Rink Wrap on Forever Blueshirts. Make sure to continue to follow us and head to Forever Blueshirts for, all of our written material as well. And we're going to return next week, and we're going to break things down because we're getting down to the nitty gritty, right? We're a couple weeks away from the end of the season. 7 regular season games remaining for the New York Rangers. In or out? Fourth straight year in the Stanley Cup playoffs, or set up your tea time and head to the offseason a bit early. I still think they're going to make it. I've been telling you this since things were terrible back in November and December. I've just felt all along that they would find their way in. I still feel that way now. We'll see. We'll talk about it next week on Rink Wrap. Thanks for joining us this week. Have yourself a great week, everybody. Enjoy the game Saturday night against the New Jersey Devils.